Steve.
You're listening to Cooper Talk.
Welcome to Cooper Talk. I'm your host, Steve Cooper, and remember, I'm only as hip as my guest. I got to tell you, people, happy 2026. This is the first show of 2026, and I have to apologize. I haven't been recording as much lately. I've had a bunch of other stuff going on. I have 2 other shows going. I'm teaching a bunch of stuff, but I'm back. I have a lot of guests lined up for this year. We're going to have a great year, and what I want to do a lot is get some of the guests I had in the past to come on, because I always like talking to them, and I've been doing that. And my guest, today, March 22nd, 2015, she came down to the studio in Burbank, and we both lived in LA at the time, and now we're both back east, and it's Roma Maffia. How you doing, Roma?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. It's so funny. So many people I know are leaving LA, so many actors. What made you move back to the coast? Because, it's like Xander Berkeley's in Maine, Reed Diamond's in Maine. Everybody's moving. What made you leave?
Well, I was raised in Manhattan. So I always knew that I was coming back because I never had a plan to go live in Los Angeles, and never mind for 24 years. But, so I bought a house out here east, knowing I'd come back.
And was it easy? What was there a deciding moment that you finally said, "The hell with it, I'm out of here"?
No, my mom wasn't. She had dementia, so it was like, okay, now is the time to be home. So that was the deciding factor.
Okay, well, you're back east. You're back. Are you liking it? Are you liking the seasons? The weather. I don't know.
I love the seasons. That's the one complaint I had in LA. I was like, where are the seasons? Because it was. I'm sure we can all relate. It's like it's so sunny all of the time. I can't just stay in bed,
Right.
Which is sometimes what I like to do. So that was the deciding factor. I need weather. And boy, how's Philly? You must have a lot of weather, because we do here.
We've been lucky, knock wood. I swear, that last storm that came through. It's funny, my buddy Carrie, his girlfriend's up in New York, and he texted me. He goes, she lives in Queens, and he said, he goes, how is it down there? Because he's down here. And I said, well, we might get an inch. He goes, we're supposed to get 4 to 8. So he left and came down. We have been lucky. We had one storm this year, but we've been getting rain. But I see like Boston gets its ass kicked. All these places get ass kicked by snow. We've been lucky. But I like the fact that when we talk about seasons is Christmas. Because it never felt like Christmas in LA. I always say lights off a palm tree. You don't see a nativity scene with a lizard running by.
Exactly. So. It's exactly. Or the smell of night blooming jasmine.
Right.
I was like, wait a minute, where am I? So up here, we got 6 inches.
See, that's the thing. I've been lucky. So you're from Manhattan. Now, I was wondered, and we talked a long time ago, and I forget because I'm getting old.
Yes.
And what made you get into acting? Did growing up in Manhattan help you push you towards acting, or what made you decide to become an actor?
I liked reading, and I liked saying people's words. I read plays or whatever it was. I always liked it. I can't even remember a point when it was like, oh, it was that moment. I liked tap dancing. I liked ballet. I liked singing. So it was like, okay, so I'll act. It just felt natural.
Now, how did you pursue it? Because you've had a very successful career, and it's not you've had 2 hit series, in which most people are lucky to even get 1 hit series. People are lucky to get a pilot. But when did you decide that you wanted it to make it your career? Because as I said, when we're young, we have aspirations, but to actually follow them as we get older, we don't. So what was your trajectory?
I think it's so funny. I think some people go and do things kind of come to me. So I was just la 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 in college. I'll go to the Davis Center in New York City College, and I'll learn there. And it just kind of snowballed. And I got great advice from people. And it was my shrink, actually, who said, go to Los Angeles for 3 months. And I was like, no, I'm not going. So if I had to, speak for myself, I would say no. But it's always been a gentle push from people I know and love who have been most supportive and pushing me.
So when you got out of college,
Yeah.
Did you go straight to LA or did you hang in New York or did you take the advice?
What I took the advice later. What I did after college is I waited tables at this great restaurant, Milady's in Soho, and I would go and do regional theater. And they were so kind, they would let me come back on my shifts. So that's what I did until it became like, okay, it's getting some momentum here. And then my shrink said, get out, go.
So, what was it like moving to LA? Because, it's funny, when I moved to LA, I lived in San Diego before that for 6 years. But I remember visiting LA, and I was very surprised, I guess, because growing up near Philadelphia and knowing New York, LA really didn't seem like a city to me. I mean, I know it's big, but how New York, it was the city. And then I was surprised because we went out on St. Patrick's Day. My buddy was staying there, and the bars in LA closed at like 2, and I'm in like, what? It was just different. It was totally like, wait. So what was your reaction when had you been there before you moved out?
I'd been there like with my boyfriend when I was in my late 20s. So it wasn't like I knew. We were actually in San Francisco. When I first went to LA, as she suggested, I didn't drive. So I was on the bus all the time, which actually, well, you can only have one appointment in LA to be on a bus because that's an all-day event. But I got to learn a little bit of the layout, which was helpful once I did learn how to drive. Yeah.
No, I always laughed when you go to auditions and you had the Thomas guide. And,
oh my God!
And it would be like, back then, it wasn't like a cell phone, so, and they would have like a grid, and you'd be like, I lived in Hollywood when I first got there, and if you had to go to like, over the bridge to Burbank, over the hill, you'd have to look at these grids, and you knew the main streets in Hollywood, like Fountain, because I used to work at Planet Hollywood, so Fountain to Fairfax to whatever, so you knew the way to go. But it was, the kids don't understand now, like, it was how
I know.
You had to drive with a map.
I can't, and you know what? I try to explain it to younger people. I can't explain it. You have to see it to actually try to find it where you'd go like this, like this. I was insane. I would always have to call somebody. Well, how did I call somebody? It was later. Did I have a cell phone? No, I don't know what I did. Gas stations.
Yeah, you couldn't. You had there was no one to call you right if you got lost. You were screwed. And the thing is, though, I never missed an audition, and you probably didn't either. We always made it. And it was like you found your way. Even the bus, because I've taken the bus in L.A., and it's always late or it doesn't show up. And to be for an audition, it must really suck, because you had to probably give yourself like 3 hours.
Yeah, it's exactly right. And then don't even worry about getting back home, because you're going to get home when you get home. Yeah. No, that was like being on the frontier.
Yeah, so you get to LA, and also, getting an agent and all that. Did you get an agent pretty quick, or what was your path to agent?
I had an agent from New York.
Okay.
So I went with them and then fired them. But yes, went with them to them.
So
which made it so much easier.
Well, when you got out there, were you getting a lot of auditions? Had you already booked some TV work, or were you all mostly theater when you moved out there?
I went when I had done shikes, the paper. So when I asked Ron Howard, I said, can you help me? Just, who do you recommend? So he was very kind to me. And so that's when I went to LA, when I had a little bit of, backing.
So how'd you get the job with the paper? What was your part in the paper? I mean, because you got to talk to Ron Howard, so that must have been pretty cool.
Oh, Ron Howard, the best. Do you know, oh God, it's a bar on 42nd Street, the West Bank.
No.
Oh God, Steve, it's fantastic. When you come to New York, let me know when you come. So it's this great bar. It's been there a billion years, and it's right across from Theater Row. So it's a lot of actors. So downstairs, it's where Louis Black started, and just a bunch of people. So downstairs, they used to have a night. You could do a reading, you could do a play, you could do whatever. So Ron Howard's casting director came to see something down there, and she called me in. I had no idea. So she called me in, and then I met with Ron. So it was good luck. It was a lot of good luck.
What was that like, though? It's as you said, things come to you. All of a sudden, you're on a major film. I mean,
yeah.
What is that? What goes through your head as a young actor? A lot of people bust their chops, to bust their ass to get a break like that.
I know. It was so fun. That set was so fun. Had so many wild personalities that it was. You just had it was just fun. So my anxiety or nervousness was assuaged. because I was just part of the team, and he is very welcoming. So it was easy. And I didn't realize. I was like, okay, so I'd done so much theater. It was like, oh, okay. It didn't really dawn on me what was going on, which was so good.
Well, I always ask, actors who did theater, when they come on set, all of a sudden you're getting blocked, and it's like theater. It's if you screw up, you keep going because the show's not stopping. And they always say that the first time they're on set, they feel a little bit constricted because you have to be there for the camera. And I can imagine it's a total shock.
It was a shock. I was in so much shock. I was in another, galaxy. I had no idea what was going on. But, yeah, he was just great and I think he knew it was my first. And I had done some television in New York, so it was sort of like, okay, but it was his kindness, actually.
So he decides, Ron Howard and your shrink tell you to go to L.A., which I never thought I'd say that in a sentence. Ron Howard and your shrink told you to go to L.A. And so
he didn't actually. I asked him once I decided. I said, once I'm out there, can you help me?
And so when you get to L.A., where do you start? Do you just, you're not driving yet. Do you start booking, or how long do you start booking stuff?
I was staying with my friend, I remember, and I had another friend drive me to Warner Brothers for the Disclosure audition. So it was just this thing. I had not actually. I met my agents, my LA agents. We did not get along. They did not appreciate a New Yorker who knew nothing about film. What do you mean you don't know if you were a guest star or if you were this or that? I don't know. That's not the world I come from. So got rid of them. But so my friend drove me. My friends were fantastic. They drove me to my auditions and my callbacks when there were those. Yeah.
Now, Disclosure.
Yes.
You go to the audition. Do you know who's in the movie? Do you know it's a big budget? Do you know it's Michael Douglas and Demi Moore? Demi Moore is one of the hottest actors right then. Michael Douglas has always been big. So you go and what do the sides say?
Not only do I not know, I had the audacity. When I was talking to the director, I was like, okay, Roma, pull it together. Okay, what has he done? I named all the wrong films. And he looked at me like, you're an idiot. And no, I didn't do any of those films. And I'm like, oh my God, shut up, Roma. So that was, I knew nothing. They didn't say this. I guess people knew who knew. I didn't know. I didn't know Michael Douglas was in it. Like the third audition, I knew Michael Douglas was in it. Maybe the second. I knew. But it was like, I flew back to New York. They sent me out again. They sent me out so many times. So, yeah.
Well, what is that like when you sit there, you're on the roll for a movie and they keep sending it out? I know Robert Romano said for Fast Times at Ridgemont High, it took him he went out, audition, and then there was 3 months, and they said, "Oh, screw it." Then he gets a call. What's it like for you? Are you anxious, thinking I want to get this part, or do you think to go, "Am I wasting my time flying?" It must be weird.
Well, at first it was anxious making, like what? Then it became like, if you can't make up your mind, then leave me alone. I just leave. Then I don't want the part. If I have to go against someone and I'm second best, then leave me alone. Is how it felt after a while, which was kind of good. Because it was relaxing. It was like, make up your mind. So it was because he had an actress in mind. But she was from Spain. This is the story I was told. And she needed to get her accent, less accent. But she didn't. So that's when all of a sudden they were like in a scurry. Like, what are we going to do?
So you get the part, and what's it like on set? Are you, because it's a bigger role. It's a good sized role.
That was incredible. That was the film that I thought, oh, this is how the other half live. Well, I should say the other 1%. It was unbelievable. It was like, well, you know. So you have one day of this glamorous, this trailer. Okay, I'll tell you, Steve, what happened. This is my experience. This is just me. So we're filming at one point. Oh, this is a sad story. So at the same time I'm doing that, I'm doing Chicago Hope. And I become friends tight with Adam Arkin. So I'm doing both, disclosure and that. So I'm in the hotel. I still can't drive. They've got to pick me up. They take me to that hotel that all actors stayed in by the pool. I was like, oh, this is luxury. So I'm in the pool. They go, oh, tomorrow you're going to Seattle because they're filming out there. They're continuing to film disclosure out there. So I worked all night. And I said, oh, my laundry. What am I going to do with my laundry? Adam says, put it in your pillowcase. Because I didn't even have a suitcase. I said, put it in my pillowcase. He said, put it in your pillowcase. So I take my laundry. I put it in my pillowcase. Oh, I did have a suitcase, and I put the pillowcase in my suitcase. So I land the next morning in Seattle, the Four Seasons. So I'm tropping away, and they're actually filming in the lobby of the Four Seasons. So I'm my little suitcase, and I open it up, and I hand them, the front desk, my pillowcase with my laundry. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So I hand them that, right? Then I do that even before I get upstairs to my room. So very nice person takes me up to my room, and he opens double doors. And he leaves me in this little alcove where there are doors on either side. And I turned to ask him a question like, which door is mine? And he's gone. And I'm standing there, and then it dawns on me. They're both mine. So I'm going around the hotel room, calling my mom. Ma, I've got 9 phones in this suite. There are 9 phones. I'm calling you from the bathroom. It was unbelievable. But I'll tell you what was embarrassing, but yet I wish I had held it. When I got my laundry back, they had, they write down everything, the price, everything. They wrote down 1 torn underwear. And I was like, I wish I had that. They
always said, your mom always says, leave the house with clean underwear. So they should say, don't take torn underwear to the Four Seasons, or you can get in trouble.
Exactly right.
So you're shooting that in Chicago Hope at the same time. How are you pulling that off? Because were the producers being very Chicago Hope saying we could do it?
They were very, very kind. They worked it out.
Now, but that's a time where people really weren't doing TV and movies at the same time. So what was that like? I mean, how did you fall into that? I mean, you were already on Chicago Hope? I mean, that's pretty amazing.
I told you, it just was like I happened to be at the right place at the right time. I don't know how I did. You know what? When I was in wardrobe on Chicago Hope early on, I was taking the bus. The bus goes right in front on Motor. It goes right in front of Paramount. So I would get off. So one day the woman said in a wardrobe, she goes, Roma, you have to stop taking the bus. Because it was... I would take it from Venice, and luckily it was straight up Santa Monica. So when I think back on these things, it was like I just said, okay.
Well, it's good though, because I think sometimes that helps when people don't overthink. When you overthink stuff, it really can stunt you. It does. So so Disclosure comes out, and it's a popular movie. You're on Chicago Hope. Yeah. When Disclosure comes out, do you start getting a lot of heat? Do you start getting a lot of heat because you're on a movie and a TV show? Like, are people reaching out to you?
Yes. Oh, I'll never forget. I went home to visit my mom, West Side. So I'm in a store. I forget what time of year it is. I went to buy something, and a woman in the Gap. You're in that movie. You're in it. And I was like, it was the first time, and I thought, Yes. Anyway, so it was all these firsts. I think the firsts, don't you agree, are the sweetest. They're just the juiciest kind of things.
Well, it's funny. living back here, I started substitute teaching, elementary school and junior high. And just the other day, I had cover for the science class for 2 or 3 days, and I'm in Panera. It was 2 days ago, and I'm walking out, and it's busy, and I got my drink, 'cause I always get a drink to go, and I go, excuse me, and this girl's like, Mr. Cooper! And then she said to her friends, and all of a sudden, like, there's these 5th, 7th graders going, Mr. Cooper! And you don't know how to react. Because you're like, what do you say? And then people are coming like, why do they know this guy? It's like, what is this guy, some creep? Like, what, why does he know these young girls? You know, but it's weird. It was it's one of those first, like, and for you, for people to recognize you, and I'm sure it happened a lot more after your career built up. But for the first time, it must have been something like, I think that's a sign of, you probably felt accomplished. Even though you had all the work, and, you know, people were like, you're like, wow, you know, people know me.
But I was, you know what, Steve, going along with the rest of it, I was like, oh my God, what is that? I didn't put it like, oh, this means, it was like, I was just so shocked that it was like, oh, yeah, anyway. Yeah.
So you're working now, how long, was The Profiler your first regular series?
Yes.
Okay, now it's funny because I had Ali Walker on a few weeks ago.
Was it? I'm not sure if Profiler was, or Chicago Hope.
Well, Chicago Hope, you were in 13 episodes.
Which one? Chicago Hope? Yeah. I think, didn't Chicago Hope, came out first?
Chicago came first, but I mean for a longer haul.
That was my first. But I got fired.
What happened? Why'd you get fired?
It was so great. I got a phone call from David Kelly, and he says, Roma, we got to let you go. I'm not killing you, which I thought was hysterical. You're not dead. So I can come back. I thought, well, thank you, I'm not dead. And he goes, but ER kicked our ass. So I've got to reconfigure, and I wasn't a doctor. So he's like, I got to configure what's going on here within the program. So I was like, fine. So then, like a day later, Profiler called.
So you got a call for that, and they offered you the position.
Yeah. Ian Sanders. You remember him?
Who?
Ian Sander. He was the executive producer, and Kim Moses, his wife, he called.
So they call you, and what do they tell you about the part?
They don't tell me anything about the part. They tell me how much money they're going to pay me. I'm like, oh, that sounds good. Okay.
So you get on that show, and I had Ali Walker on a few weeks ago, and we were talking how it was. We were talking about how, you know, it was one of the first shows with the woman on number one on the call sheet.
Yes.
And so, what was that like for the rest of the women? Because I'll be honest, there, you know, it's still around. There's sexism. I mean, let's be.
Oh, it's horrible.
But what was it like when you went on the set where the woman was number one on the call sheet? Was it a little easier for you because you were another woman, or did they pit you guys sort of against each other? Because it seems like that's always what happens.
Yeah, Ali and I would never be pitted against each other. There was no reason for it. As Robert Davi told me, he said he and Ali were the ones that had to worry about how they looked. I didn't have to worry about how I looked. So, and I was like, okay, Robert. No, they never pitted us. And because, excuse me, I had never been on a television show except for that time on Chicago Hope, I didn't know about any of it. I didn't know about how the sexism worked. And Demi Moore was the lead in the movie, so it wasn't as though I came to this culture knowing. I see it more now than I did because I'm more savvy, but I didn't really see it then. I was lucky I had a thing with a trailer with my name on it.
Now, what was it like for the Profiler? I always ask, you know, you get through the first season, and as you said, you're making good money. And you have a home. You're not hustling. You know, actors always are on the hustle. You know, like this. So
I can drive.
Yeah, and then and what when you started driving, what was the first car you got?
Oh, I got a used Nissan.
Wait, so you have a TV series and you're driving you didn't get a new car?
I didn't get a new car. I got a used Nissan, and actually, then I got a Cherokee, a new one, and Richard Schiff used to be my roommate. We were roommates in college, and so I bumped into him somewhere, I forget, at an audition or something. He said, let me see what someone who's making some money car drives. And I was proud. I had a Cherokee. It was green. He said, "That's it?" I was like, "What do you mean that's it?" "Yeah, that's it."
So, so then
Man.
the show gets picked up for the second season. Now,
Yeah.
how happy does that make you? Because once again, now you know, because back then they're all 24, 23, 24 episodes. So it wasn't like now it's episode series of 10 episodes. So you know, did they pick you right up after the first season, or did you have to wait? Or
Yeah. No, they didn't wait. How dare they? No, they picked me up.
no, so
It's all,
did the show get picked right up for a second
it
season?
did.
Okay.
I think it did. I think that it did. Because I don't remember any time when my fingers were crossed. Yeah, I
So
think they did.
so how is it? How do you get very close with the crew once you're into that second season? Because everybody knows they have a paycheck, and usually back then, if you're on for 2 seasons, you're probably going to get a third. It's a very good chance. So
Right.
what's the attitude like as an actor who's been in the business a long time? What's the difference in attitude of when you're on a set that either they know they're going to get canceled or the number one on the call sheet's an asshole, or when it's like this where you know you're going to get picked up? I mean, the atmosphere must just be like a party.
Yeah, it is. It's exactly like that. Everyone is liked. They know it's just you have time. You know you're going to have time off if you so want. You know you're coming back. So, yeah, there's a real lightness to it. But when you're working with an asshole, even if you're getting a second season, you're like, uh, it to me the second season of what exactly? So, but yeah, it's a great feeling. And you know what? You know the crew. I knew the crew. I love the crew. I knew the crew right from the very beginning, even first year. Everybody knows all those amount of hours you're hanging together. It's like you're all doing it together.
So on the profiler, Allie left, and she told me she left because she was just pregnant. She was exhausted. She said she couldn't take it. She said it was
Yeah,
just
she had a
I
lot.
couldn't. It was just overwhelming. Which
Yeah.
you're sure we talked about. Her agents were probably like, "What the hell are you doing?" And they go, "We want that 10%." But so it changes.
Yeah.
What's that like for you and the show? Does it change anything for you because now there's a new lead? Because you've already gotten to know your role somewhat, and it's like I always say, it's like a football team when they have a defense and someone gets hurt and they bring a new guy in, even though he's good, he doesn't know the certain nuances and stuff like that. So what was it like when in that last season?
It was challenging. I mean, like what you're saying, it had nothing to do with the actress, but it was Allie's show. I mean, Allie was the engine that made that show go. The way she took on the character, the way she would look, just her. You couldn't repeat that. You couldn't copy that. And I think she made such an imprint that it would be a hard, near to impossible act to follow, which is what I think happened.
So when that show goes off, what are you aiming to do? Because you started, you look at your IMDb, while I want to talk about Nip Tuck, but you did all the shows, like you've done all the episodics. You were in the Sopranos. What was it like being in the Sopranos? I mean, that must have been something different, being a New Yorker, that you get to come back east, and it must have been
Yes,
fun.
it was great fun. It was great fun. The only problem was, damn it, I was the professor, so I had to be proper. But it was great fun. It was great fun. They've all been really. I'm just thinking of mostly great fun. Yeah, and that was, and it was nice being back in New York. Yeah, and on that show, how iconic.
I know. So okay, so tell me about Nip Tuck. First of all, was that what was that? Was that on Fox? What network was that on? FX? What was that on?
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so you come from the network show, The Profiler, that gets canceled, but you're working. So how long till Nip Tuck comes along? Did you have to audition, or did you also get a call for that?
I did. I auditioned, and Ryan told me I sucked. I don't always audition well, so he told me I sucked, and I had to go back and audition, and then I got it. But yeah, I had auditioned. Actually, I think when I auditioned, when it was between me and one other person whom I don't remember, Julian was there. Julian, which 2 shows we've done together. So it was funny to see him, because I would see him at the callbacks on both shows, which was funny.
Now, Nip Tuck.
Yeah.
It's on FX. It's about
Yes.
plastic surgeons. It's just different idea.
Okay.
Did you ever think it would go for 96 episodes? I mean, when you sit there, you think about it, like when you look at TV, because TV wasn't used to the FX type shows, you know, I mean, there was shows, but they weren't used. Now it's everything's, they try to be edgy, like, oh, we have to be edgy, but then it was original. So what did you think when the first season, when you're like FX and what was going through your mind?
I had no idea. I was like, I don't know what is happening. But they would be like, Julian was like, oh, this is going to go. So I would go with, you think so? Okay, it's going to go. I had no idea. And we would say on the set, either they're going to love it or they're going to hate it. So I think we were all like, where's this going to land? Yeah.
So as you were, so when do you notice that people are really starting to dig the show? Because you must feel the pulse when you go out.
Season.
So tell me about the first season. How did you know?
Well, it was toward the end of the first season we had a sense. Because one, we were having fun doing it. And the material that would come in, it would just be outrageous. And it was like, oh my God. It was always like, oh my God, what the hell? He is making love to the couch? What? So that's his disease? What's happening? I'd constantly be like that. What's happening next week? So I think we were excited. So we got a sense of excitement, everyone who was involved. And we'd hear from people who really liked it. And it was just, you know what I loved best, Steve, about that show? One of the things I loved best was that every single episode was based in reality. Ryan would take it off the AP. And so they were all really based. And I thought, that is fascinating. No matter how wild we got, it came off the Associated Press.
Well, you know, it's funny you say that because there's this thing that if you go online and you type in your birthday, like the day and the date, and not the year so much, the day and the date, and put Florida man, something weird shows up. And it's true, like the stories, you go, wait, so a guy was screwing an alligator, like the shit that you wouldn't believe. But the thing is, he probably did that because
he was a journalist.
Okay.
So
I didn't know that. So Ryan was a journalist?
He was before this. So he was doing I believe this is true. He was doing an article on plastic surgery. This is how it came to him. And so, yes, so he knew all about the Associated Press.
So you get your second season. Now, are people starting to recognize you more? Because once again, that show has a not a cult following. It has like people who like it, love it. Like there's some shows you just watch, like, oh, this is good. But that show, they're like, oh, that was like a water cooler show. Like people would talk, oh, did you see that? Did you see that? Like, holy crap, what are they doing? Were you starting to get recognized? And did people? I mean, how would people react to you? Would they think like?
They loved my character.
Okay.
They were always like, oh, we love Liz. I was like, I do too. It was always so sweet. Sometimes they'd be like, well, that's way too out of control for me, that show. And I'd go, yeah, well, but they loved Mike. And of course it was always, is he that handsome? Is he that, it's the boys. Are they that handsome? No, not really. No, yes, of course they were. So it was,
So that ran for how many seasons? 6?
I want to say 7.
7. Okay. So now, what is it like when you already had a show that went 4 seasons and there was a change in the 3rd season. So what is it like for you when you're in the same character after, the 1st season, 2nd season? Do you as an actor want your character to grow, or did they let your character grow because they trusted you and they knew that the show was going to work because it had the following? I mean, what was it like for you? How did your acting range or your acting expand through that show?
It did expand, and I loved playing Liz. In hindsight, I realized just how much I loved it. Yeah, she did grow. She became more integral to all the insanity that was happening outside of the operating room. So she had a personal life. She started to have a personal life.
So as an actor, does that make you feel? I know that makes you feel really good. That it's like it shows that they have confidence in
Yeah.
you to develop your character. Had that happened in other shows for you before, where they had the confidence and they just said,
Profiler.
so you've had the two shows you've been on. They've had the confidence to let you.
Yeah.
To
Give me some light.
So that must be a great feeling. I mean, because as I said, you've been on two big hit series. I mean, you've been in
Right.
other one for that ran for a while. But it must be
Right.
as an actor, that must really be just a great feeling that they believe in you.
I guess so. It's funny because I looked at it like, well, it was the natural progression. I never looked at it as, oh, they must believe in me. I guess I just thought, oh, yeah. But it is a nice thought you have. Yes.
Now,
In hindsight, yes.
Now, what happened? Why did Nip Tuck go off? Was it just it ran its course, or did you guys know it was going off? I always wonder. Like sometimes actors know. Like I heard when Cheers went off. They knew.
Before.
What's that?
We knew a little before the end. Why did it go off? To be honest, I think Ryan got bored. And I think he had other things he wanted to do. And I think that down the chain that affected some of what was, you're the star baby. And then all of a sudden there's three new babies that are being born. So you're put over there. So I think that's kind of what happened in part. Yeah.
So when it's going off, is it hard to go to set? I mean, I know it's your actor, but it's like as you said, you're not the star, but you're going. It's been such a big part of your life, and you're so close with the crew, and you probably know Crafty, and you know the people. All that.
Crafty, number one.
Yeah, of course you have to know Crafty. I mean, you take. When I used to do some background and stuff, I'd always take those crunch bars, the granola bars. You throw them in your backpack, and everyone tells me now after COVID you're screwed because they have to serve you. Before you could just be like, I'm going to take this, I'm going to take this, I'm going to take this.
Right now they can see what it is, but also the catering. It's like I always think this: first one's there, last one's to go.
It's true.
I'm like, I can't do that job.
Was it? Did you get good food on that set?
We did, I think we did. I can't remember. I think we did. I didn't complain.
Yeah, because I always laugh when people complain. It's like, you're eating for free. Shut up. It's like...
Yeah, really.
So what was it like, though, going to the set when you know the show was going to go off? I mean, is it a sadness? So how do you deliver? I mean...
It's like you have to go to wardrobe, so you say goodbye to the wardrobe. I say, remember Jolie. I remember everybody. You're just saying, it's like a week or however long of saying goodbyes.
So at what point, so when that's over, where's your head at? Because it's been a part of your life for 7 years. I know you also, did you do Boston Legal when you were on that show too, or was that after or before?
That was before.
What was that like? Because that was a cast of some characters.
Yeah. My favorite was what's his name? Tall. Anyway, I can't remember. That was nice. David Kelly. It was fun, and it was the dialogue's always fantastic, and the storyline always has a twist.
So after Nip Tuck, what's going through your mind? Are you sitting there going, do you want to take a little time off because you've been working constantly, and you sit there and you have money because you've been on 2 TV shows for 12 years. You have your green. Do you still have the green Cherokee? Did you?
No. I kept that green Cherokee.
Okay, so you got the green Cherokee. So you're smart with your money. You're smart with your money. A lot of people would have got a Porsche. They would have been like, oh, I have a series. So what do you do when that show ends?
What did I do?
Do you take time off?
That's when I came back east, and I decided with my brother to look for a house on the East Coast.
So
I think things like that, and walk my dog. I mean, I don't. Yeah, I don't really remember.
It's all right. So now nowadays in acting, I want to ask you because do you still you know my wife was watching whenever she sees you on TV, she goes, "Oh, Roma Maffia's on," and I know you were on the. What's funny, you were on the
No, say hello, please.
I will. You're on the Equalizer, but you were on the original Equalizer too, which I know is your IBM. So that's sort of ironic that like from 80 whatever. So what did you think about that?
Well, let me tell you. You know who I was on the Equalizer, the first one?
No.
I was a prostitute. See, I was a prostitute. I'll never forget. And that was my first film. Anything on camera. I wore a rabbit fur short coat. I wore hot pants with window pane stockings and high heels. My face was made up. It was 2 inches of makeup. And let me tell you, that's the main actor, Woodruff. What a great guy. What a fantastic actor, person. So, yeah. So when I was on this Equalizer, I was like, I was on the original, which is not saying a lot. But I was a prostitute named Cindy. And I kept coming back telling him, what was going on the streets. Because I was in the hood.
So now these days, do you have to audition?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to ask you, once again, well, earlier you said that you always didn't do great in auditioning. And the big thing now is so many people who've been around remember going into the room. But for you now,
I loved it.
So you love going in the room, even though you said you wouldn't audition great all the time. You love going in the room?
I still don't audition on tape. It doesn't matter where I'm going to not audition well. So it's like, at least I get in the room. I can ask questions. I get a vibe. I can let them get a sense of who I am. That's all gone. And it feels like, I don't know. I mean, do I like not having to travel? Yes. But it's not the same.
Everyone says that because you can't read the room. And someone said to me, you don't even know if the person's watching it. Like, because before they had to watch you.
That's right. You don't even, it's like the abyss. It's your, bye. So, yeah,
it's just hard.
Sorry?
Is it hard? I mean, is it
hard. It's hard. It is hard. I find it hard. Yeah. Some people probably might really like it. I find it hard because mostly you don't get to ask questions. You don't talk about a character. You don't do anything. So you really are. It's like whatever you bring, that's it.
Now, a few years back, you did Pretty Little Liars, and that's a younger show. What was it like being on a cast with the youngins?
Oh, the youngins. Ooh, those youngins had my head spinning. They're fantastic. They didn't bother with the old uns. The youngins stayed with the youngins. But it was good. But you know what's funny? Here I am thinking, oh, I'm a detective. I'm going to find out what's going on in this murder in this town. And the first people, if you ask one person who saw that show, and there's so many, they're like, we hate your character. Why don't you leave those girls alone? And I'm standing in the middle of the store going, because they committed a murder. Does that not matter to you? They committed a murder. And it's funny because I didn't expect that.
But
you're ganging up on them.
But it means they like your character, right, and they know you.
But isn't that a little twisted?
It is. I mean, people do that. I mean, some people think, what's his name? God, he played Elliot on 30-something. Timothy Busfield. He said he was, during that show, he was in Gelson's in Hollywood, and lady walked up and she slapped him in the face and said, I can't believe you treat your wife like that. And he's like, it's a character. So for you, they're probably like, I wonder if she's really mean in real life. Because, they
don't wonder. They assume I am. Because the looks I get are like, we don't like you. They're bold face, we don't like you. Okay.
Now you also did Billions, how was Billions? Because that's a very, that was very well liked, and that shoots in New York, right? So that's the shoot. So how did that come about? Do people know you when you go in? Like the producers Are they, because are they the, if they're like 22, they may not, but most people aren't. Do they know you?
Yeah.
Like, do they remember Nip Tuck and see that it was
Sure.
innovative? So does that make it
Yeah.
easier for you, or do you think it makes it a little harder? Or is it easier?
Well, it depends. That's a great question. It depends. Because sometimes if you're already feeling a little like, I'm not sure about this. What am I going to do? And then they go, oh, Roma, can't wait to see what you do with this. I'm like, me neither. So it's like, that makes two of us. So sometimes it can be harder. But Billions was my favorite actor to work with ever, Damien. Why am I blanking on his last name?
Jones. Is it Jones?
Who?
No.
No, the Englishman.
Yeah. He was in Homeland. I can't think.
Yes. It'll come to me.
Damien Wright. No.
That's it. Thank you so much. So great. He's an acting lesson all by himself.
Why? What makes him so great? When you say he's so great, because what makes him so great to work with?
I'll tell you. He's the first actor, besides myself, who I saw allowed himself to be nervous. To allow himself to, just get to where he needs to go. And there was something so great about that because he's in a position where a lot of actors in his position, level of work, don't reveal any of that. They're very like, I got this. So there was something so wonderful. Plus, he's just so fun to play with, and just it's so great.
How important is that on the set? Like, you're going to deliver because you're a professional and you got the job. But does that make you? And as I said, people give 100%. That's why they're working actors. But is there something when someone's that good that some unknown talent comes out that pushes you above the level when you're having that much fun?
Absolutely. It's like playing any contact sport, ping pong, whatever. Whomever you're up against, they're bouncing and making you better, and you have to go that shot, and then they've got to get it. It's just energy. You just have to either that or you sink. So
you were also on an episode of a show that I know the co-creator, and I loved. You were on an episode of Bookie.
Oh my God!
Which me and Joanne would watch that, and I know Nick Bacai. He's been on the show twice, and it was Sebastian. The chemistry between Sebastian and the other guy was so good. It's so
Omar.
good. Yeah, Omar was so good. What was that like? Because it was you played the mob wife, but what was that like working with him? Because everyone, it's so funny. Everyone was probably thinking for Sebastian he would have this big comedy, but it's completely different than his stand-up, and it shows he can act. And so what was that like? It was only one scene, but what was that like working on that set? Because it must have been a blast.
Let me tell you something. Sebastian's serious about his work, so there were no jokes. There was no, that's like when I worked with Joan Rivers. There are no jokes. People are really serious about knowing their words and what's going on and listening. Who was the director? Tell me the director.
But it wasn't Nick Bacai. No, Nick Bacai is the producer, but I don't know.
And a writer with, I loved him too. Big producer.
Yeah. I know, I'm blanking too.
Oh.
2.5 Men.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shakes.
I
apologize if he ever hears this.
I forget too. I can't believe I'm skipping. Oh, well.
I know. It'll come to me later. I'll scream it out so maybe you can hear. He was so great. And there was a young director there also who was also part of it. So they all worked in tandem. It was great. But there was no joking. It was a really strong, we're going to do this acting. And what is his name? Starts with a J.
A what?
I thought it started with a J.
No, hold on a second. We're going to figure this out.
Please.
Okay, hold on a second. So wait. I can't believe I'm blanking too. 2.5 Men creator. 2.5 Men. It was okay. And of course, it doesn't pop right up. That always happens when you want to see some Chuck Lorre.
I know, right?
Chuck Lorre.
Who?
Chuck Lorre.
Yes.
I can't believe.
Yes, as the J.
No,
So Chuck Lorre, he's the one I was like, I told him I'll work with you no matter what. So, and he's really an actor's director. Really, really, really. And boy, you don't get many of those. You get the Ron Howards, of course. You get the Barry Levinsons there, of course they are. But yeah, he was just special.
see now, did you audition for that?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was tape at home.
So you auditioned that. Now, with back to the Equalizer. So what was that show like? What was that? Because that's once again, it's a woman on number one on the call sheet, Queen Latifah, who who seems like she's very professional. She seems like she doesn't take crap. But
That was very professional.
okay.
It was all very professional. It was great. I was the shrink. So I worked only with one other person, whoever walked into my office. I always wanted it to be Queen Latifah, but she was too normal. She never came into my office. But it was great. It was great working on that. I mean, it was easy. It was interesting. The people were great. And yeah, it was real. I'm sad it ended.
It is sad. And then also, though, you also did NCIS, which
Which I just finished. I came back, I guess 3 months ago, 4 months ago. Yeah.
So it's funny. That show, I was a hand model on that show. I was in season, it was 13 years ago. When was it? No, it was like, it was like 10 years ago. And yeah, I went up to where they shoot out in Valencia or whatever. Yeah. And I was with the second unit and they had me. And it's funny because I was eating lunch and Jeremy Ratchford was a guest star who's been on the show a few times. So I'm sitting there and the set was so chill. And like they take me in a cart and I go and they set up an apple box for me to sit on. And I just put my hand and pushed the button 2 times. And they gave me a voucher and they said, and I think I got paid more than like background union. I got, and they said, you're on your way. But it was the easiest gig. But now what was your experience? Because you were on it years ago, right? And then you came back?
Well, it was so wild. I was there 12 years ago, 1 episode. And since then, they've been on for 23 years.
It's crazy.
It's going into its 24th year. I look at them like, oh my God. So they have a string of shows. So they've created a show where my character from 11 years ago is in it. She's younger. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah. Okay, that's NCIS Origins.
Thank you. So I came back and they said, okay, you're going to come back as that character. And I was like, okay, wait a minute. Am I going in the future? Am I in the past? Who am I? And I really didn't know. My brain, I'm very dyslexic. So it's like, where am I going? So I went back. I was in the present. I had such a ball that I was like, you people need to bring me back because this character, it's so fantastic. What's going on? What's the problem? So I had such a great time. She's such a great character. So so recently I did that.
So you've been working a lot, but I want to know how has the industry changed in your eyes? Because you're a professional who's been working you've been working for over 30, you've been a working actor for over 35 years. You've seen the heydays of, of like, hey, you're a guest star. Here, what's your quote? You've seen that,
Oh my God, that sentence hasn't come out in 1,000 years.
Right, but so you've seen that. So what is Hollywood like when you look at it now? Someone who's been through, TV's big, but it's never going to be as big as it was back, after All in the Family on. It's never going to be that big. Like through Cheers, through all these shows. What is your take on what Hollywood is now?
I imagine that each generation says the same thing, but different. So I feel that when I lucked out and came in, compared to now, those were the glory days. Those where you had a quote. those where you could say, I need to be driven here and there. I need da 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 da. There was generosity on the side of a producer. Now I feel like the same way it could be anybody on the tape just handing it in. You have no sense of any real community, no sense of like, oh, we're going to negotiate, or it's just, I wouldn't want to be an actor now. I feel bad. If you're starting out now, and of course people are going to make it and they're going to do well just as they've always done. But I'm sorry, I have to move this. But I don't know. It's so different on every level. And especially since COVID. I mean, since COVID, it's like nobody goes into anybody's office. Some people don't even have an office. So it's just, I don't know. I like the way it used to be.
Now, how long are you going to keep? Do you still enjoy acting? I mean, do you still? Is it something? So, has Hollywood changed on the roles towards women over 40? Like, I mean, has it gotten better? Because
No,
for a long time it
not
wasn't.
for me.
Okay.
Not for me. It's not gotten better. It's no. I did a horror film because I thought, oh, I never did a horror film, and I love horror films, but not gory ones, but just scary ones. And no, it's not any better. I mean, it depends on who you are. I mean, yes, Meryl, yes, but even they have to scrape and, battle to get what they want. Yeah, no, I'm not retired. I'll work. I'm for hire. But, yeah, I guess it's surprising too, because all of a sudden it happens. And you go, well, I guess I could audition for someone who's 90. I'm, nowhere near 90, but I don't know that. I don't know. No, I can't audition for a woman who's 90. I think that might be not even close to 90, so don't get in your heads. I don't know. It's just weird. How do you find it?
Well, I'm not an actor, so it doesn't concern me. I mean, but I've learned, as I said, interviewing a lot of people, it really hasn't changed. It hasn't, and people can say it has. It hasn't changed for minorities. Amy Hill was just on a few weeks ago, and Amy, was a groundbreaker when she did that TV show, and
right.
But it took, for her now that she had the Magnum PI and stuff like that. But
Right.
she's
It's
getting like the role she played with Margaret Cho. She played grandma, even though she was much younger. She's now getting those roles as she's gotten older. But I think it has. I talk to actors, and they say actors. I call them actors. I don't call them actresses because you're all
I
actors.
do too. I'm an actor. Yeah.
But we can say it's changed, but it really hasn't. I mean, it's changed a little bit for minorities, but it still hasn't. There's a long way to go.
Oh, that way in that department? Oh no, it has not changed. No, it's the same. I mean, you can still look and go any television show and go maybe one person of color somewhere.
Right.
In there. Yeah.
So I always ask this, the final question of the day I always ask, looking back at your career and your life, and it can be personal, it can be professional, what makes you, a few things make you proud? When you look back, what makes you proud?
Steve, that is such being this day, the last day of this year, that is such a great question. I am proud. Well, first of all, I grew up with nothing but a strong mother, great brothers, and coming from where I came from to now, whatever forces, whatever I learned, all of that combination, I'm so grateful that the gods favored me and those I love. So all of it, I'm grateful for all of it. Some things not as much as other. I mean, I recently lost my brother, who was my best friend, and so that I'm not grateful for. But that I had him, I am grateful for. And whatever comes in the future, I know the past had something to do with it. I'm along a line. And so I'm very grateful for a lot of things. And that's a really great question.
Nice.
And especially, yeah, it is.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on again, Roma. And people, go look up Roma on the IMDb. Watch all her old shows. Go watch Disclosure. It's crazy, you know. It was before its time for the raciness. It was something that was different, you know. And it was a woman, and it was a turntables. It's very, you know. You go back and watch some of these old TV shows and movies, and they're really, you know, what shows like that, The White Shadow. If you watch The White Shadow, it's very before its time. You really can't find it. But they had an episode where the student, the boy, the player, was sleeping with his teacher. And that was before, this was like before any of that stuff came out. So it was crazy. Right. So please go check out Roma. Go to my website, coopertalk.net. You can find over 1,050 episodes. You can email me at coopertalk.net. Also, my show produced by Comedy Trainwreck out of Philly, Coop's Comedy Corner. I have a lot of comedy writers and comics come on. We talk about the craft and stories. Go check that out. Go to Comedy Trainwreck. And you can go to coopscomedycorner.com, and there's a whole merch store of all my shows. And so that's about it. I want to thank you for tuning in and listening. I'm Steve Cooper. I'm only as hip as my guest. Don't forget, drink your water, eat your vegetables, take your vitamins, and I'll talk to you next time.